Kato, you way too dope, kid.
I been living around this morning through the rain. Hidden pain, hidden tears. Had to keep them locked away. I done shed so many tears. Heal my heart, save my soul. I buried my heart anew. Devil working on my soul, but I'm so blessed. Leave it up to God, so right now I just worry less. Yeah. Heal my heart, save my soul.
Kato, you way too dope, kid.
The pain from my past.
So your name and where you're from?
My name is Dr. Natalie Henrich and I'm from Germany.
Tell me about family life growing up.
Okay, so I grew up in a very small town in Germany and with my mom, my dad, and my sister. It was very beautiful. I grew up in a lot of nature and in a very strict Asian German household. We were very disciplined and the foods were always good. And yeah, this is how I grew up.
So what kind of kid were you in high school?
You know, I never really liked school. I was in high school and I did it, but I really never liked it. I thought it was all BS to learn school and to do things that I always knew that is something that I'm not going to use it, you know. I mean, I went through it and I graduated, but I really never liked it.
Why is that?
Because I didn't feel that they teach me anything that I need. I always felt like I get things taught that I will not need in my life or they didn't resonate with me.
So what did you do after high school?
So after high school, I had a whole journey of self-discovery. So I started different studies. I studied sports and physiotherapy, and I went into music. I went to New York. I thought I'd maybe do acting and singing. And then I came back and I just tried to figure it out, really. I wanted to figure myself out. I didn't really know what I want to do, but I knew I want to travel a lot. So then I went to Spain for 6 months. I learned a little bit of Spanish. And I started teaching and dancing salsa. And when I came back from Spain to Germany, I started studying financing, banking and finances. That's what I did.
And after that, after finances, what did that lead you to?
So when I studied banking and finance, I was able to travel a lot. So I was in Singapore for a little bit for an apprenticeship, and then I went to Santa Barbara, and on this way I traveled a lot of countries in the islands like Cuba, and I went to Mexico, and then when I went to Singapore, I traveled a lot to Asia. So when I came back to Germany after everything was done, I had the hardest time to integrate again because I realized Germany is so structured and everything is so on time and on the dot, and I was out of it for so long that I had the hardest time to get back into it. So I actually wanted to go to Miami. That's where I wanted to live always. So I always tried to find a way to go to Miami. So, yeah, I met my ex-husband then back in Germany. And from one day to the other, he decided he wanted to go to Miami. And this is how I ended up in Miami.
So how did you guys meet?
So we met through a common friend. He's from Cuba. So we met through that friend. She introduced me to him. And this is how I met him.
Yeah, and how long did you guys stay married for?
We were together for 10 years. And we were married, I think, for 7 years.
So why did you guys decide not to stay together?
Well, I did leave him after we had 3 kids together, because I lived in domestic violence in the first couple of years with him. And after that, it was still a very abusive relationship. It was never a healthy relationship. So when I decided after 10 years to leave him, it was that I was just tired. I had to leave. I fell out of love and I just had to go. I wanted to live a different life.
So you said you stayed with him for 3 years under domestic violence, right? Why 3 years?
No, it was like the domestic violence itself, like the physical part of it was like around 5 years. And then after that, it was more like emotional. Yeah, it was more emotional. I think first and foremost, everybody has pain inside of them and the way that they grew up, you know. So that is probably a way that he thought or learned that is the way to react. And on top of it, he was a heavyweight boxer. He was a 3 times world champion. So I believe, I'm not sure, I'm just guessing, that he's also like, when he was working out a lot, I don't know what type of supplements he took or whatever, but it definitely made him also a little bit more aggressive. And I believe just the combination of the way he grew up and his job, it was just a dangerous combination for anybody.
So why did you stay 5 years? Why not, why not leave the first time it happened?
Yeah. Well, when you have little children, I just gave birth to my first son. The domestic violence started happening when I was pregnant with my first son. And I was here. I had no papers for a long time. So I really didn't know where to go. I was out of my social element because I was in Germany. I didn't know anybody here. I only knew him. So I was very dependent on him. I was dependent on him financially, emotionally, and paper-wise, I was illegally here. So that's how it happened.
So tell me about the first time that he put his hands on you. Like, what led up to that?
So the first time we went to a friend's house, and there was a girl that I felt he was with, because there were a couple of days that he was like kind of absent, and it was weird, and I had like a weird feeling about it. And so we went to his friend's house, and when we came back, I started arguing with him. I started like, I called him out. I was like, there's something going on with this girl, and why did you behave like this, And I was pregnant 6 months with my son. And he got really angry. He was like, no, this is not true, whatever. So I went on him, and I pushed him. So in this moment, the next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and I woke up at the floor. So that's how it happened. And that's it. I was just like worried about my son in this moment, if he survived. I was just like touching my belly and see if he's moving. And that's how the first time happened.
So did you share that with anyone at the time?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I was pregnant, and I don't know who I could go to.
Did you view him differently after that?
I didn't, I did for a moment, and then he apologized next day, and then he bought me things, and then he said it's not going to happen again, and he treated me so good that I thought, well, it's not going to happen again, and I really believed it.
And then it happened again.
And then it happened again.
So at what point did you guys decided, like, at what point did you say that it's enough, did you get beat up real bad, or it's just like you just made a mental note that I've had enough?
It's like an interesting thing, because at the beginning you have a lot of hope. And I always say hope is your biggest enemy. Because when you're in an abusive relationship, it doesn't matter if you get hit, or it doesn't matter, whatever type of abuse it is, you're always hoping that the person will change or will stay when they're in a good place. There's like bad places of a person, and there's good moments. So you always hope that this person is going to be at one point only in their good moments. So I was always hoping that he would be in his good moments all the time, So it wasn't that I was making a mental note like that. It was just like, it was over a long time that I really just was hoping that he could just not do it anymore, because there was also a lot of good moments, So you go through this roller coaster, and it becomes a brainwash. And it's not only that this person's going to brainwash you, you're brainwashing yourself as well. It's like you're talking yourself out of it in a way. I think when I really knew, I had mental notes all the time thinking, this time I'm going to leave him. This time I'm going to leave him. So every time it goes bad, you're like, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to leave him. I'm going to leave him. But then it goes good again. Then they come back. They apologize. Everything is like overly well. And then you like ease out, and you're like, okay, it's going to get better. Because then also you have kids involved, and there's finances. There's so many other things involved where you feel like I cannot do it on my own. The whole self-empowerment also is like, comes into play. It's like, do I really believe that I can do it on my own, that I can do a life on my own, And my answer was always like, no, I cannot do it by myself.
Why do you think that is?
Because you get so disempowered over time. You know, you believe when the person's telling you you're not gonna find anybody, you're not gonna make it on your own. You have 3 kids now or 2 kids, whatever. You know, you're financially not stable. I didn't have a job, like a stable job like that. So yeah, there's so many factors, you know, where you think like I cannot do it. And then my family's not here. I'm in a different country, which happens to a lot of people, a lot of women when they immigrate into different countries, and then they go into domestic violence because then your abuser has like a hold on you because you're an immigrant. You don't have your normal support system behind you. So I know that there was one big mental note in me when my daughter was born. And I remember the first time I was holding her, the first time when she was just born. And I knew in this moment, and I was looking at her, I knew that I don't want my daughter to ever see me like this. And this is when I knew that I'm going to leave, like for good.
And tell me about the moment when you left.
So it was 2 years later after my daughter was born, and I basically kicked him out of the house. Like I was telling him, this is it, I don't want to be with you anymore, and that's it. So it was hard, you know, because he obviously would not understand it. And when somebody's abusive, they always energetically are stronger than you. You know, I mean, obviously he's stronger than me, you know, he's a 300-pound guy. But on top of it, also over time, over 10 years, you think that this person has a hold on you energetically. So it was nasty when he left. It wasn't good. You know, he really also tried to, there was another little incident of abuse, you know, in that moment. And I told him, I will call the police on you if you touch me one more time. And he left because we had already police involved before. And I think it was also in him the moment where he was like, okay, I don't want the police get involved again, you know. And so he left.
Do you think you had a part to play in somewhat, you know, bringing that side out of him?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
In what ways?
Well, I think that my lack of self-love and my lack of understanding my own powers, you know, for myself, I had to meet him. You know, I had to meet this counterpart of me that would trigger him so much that I could grow and learn from that, you know. So it was definitely needed. This encounter was needed, I think, for both of us, because I know of him that now he became a better man. In the relationship that he's now, he became a much better man.
So what do you think the most important thing for women to be aware of while going through that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. So I think there's 2 things that are really, really important when you are in an abusive relationship or in domestic violence. One thing is you have to stop putting your energy on him. You know, and I'm sure that you noticed that when people are in a bad relationship, they always talk about the other. He or she has done this and that, and then they did this and that, and then this is what they said to me, and blah, blah. So we always talk about the other. You know, all our energy goes on the other person. So I think one thing is you have to start focusing on your own, which is super hard, because if you're in an abusive relationship, it's super hard to focus on yourself. You're always focusing on the other. You're always like, you're like on survival mode the whole time with this person. Where is he again? Is he cheating on me again? Is he gonna hit me again? Is he gonna come home? Is he gonna give me that money? It's like you go through all the time, all through these things, you know, but you never really focus on how can I work on myself in order to create a different reality, because you can, you know. And it's so hard because you're like, how am I gonna create a different reality if this person comes home and just hits me or like cheats on me? But you can, because it's still a reflection of yourself. And I think that's the hardest part, to understand that. You know, you have to really internalize that. This is a reflection of myself. And how can I manipulate the energy in a direction that it's favorable for me and it doesn't work against me?
So knowing what you know now, you know, do you think if you have to relive the situation, do you think it would have gone this far, or you think, you know, what would you have changed?
Oh, I would, you know what? I wouldn't even get involved with somebody like that. Like from the get-go, if I meet somebody and just if I look at it now, the way I met him, the way everything, you know, played out, I was like, nowadays I would not even look at a guy like this. I would just see it from the get-go. I would see the bullshit from the beginning. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
So do you think the reason why you got involved was because you maybe you were probably looking for someone at the time? You were maybe like a little bit lonely, or you think you know, you just like, walk me through it?
I was in a very bad place in my own life. Back then when I met him, I was partying a lot and I was just like going out a lot. I had no plan. I didn't want to have a family, you know. I didn't have a specific manifestation on what I'm looking for. So it always feels like the universe gave me whatever I needed, you know. So, yeah.
So tell me the signs that you should have picked up on.
Well, one sign, for instance, is how does somebody invite you? Like when you get with somebody, how do they invite you? Are they going to tell you, hey, do you just want to come over and have sex? Or is it somebody that actually takes time to get to know you? Are they going to ask you questions, right, about you? Like, are they interested in you? How do they respond? Is it somebody, like you meet people at the first date, talk only about their exes and how shitty they were? You know, these are all red flags. It's like, this is not a good thing, you know? So, yeah, just make different choices when you meet somebody and know exactly, you have to know your worth and you have to know what you're looking for in order to make a good choice for yourself.
So financially, is he taking care of his children?
Since 2 months he does. It took him 4 years.
Why did you think it took this long for him to start doing what he's supposed to do?
I think it was his journey to really understand that his children do need support. You know, I think he was on a self-fighting journey on his own where he just like the first 2 years he was just angry about me leaving him. You know, so it was like, if you're not going to be with me, you're not going to be with nobody, and you can struggle on your own, which is a typical narcissistic behavior. So they're not going to financially support you because they only will support you for whatever they want to if you're with them. So he tries to get with you like this, you know. So he was like, okay, she's not going to make it financially on her own, so she eventually has to come back to me, and then I can think about if I maybe can help her. So, but this didn't happen. So I think the first 2 years were that he just like, he was waiting, you know, for what's going to happen. And then he realized, oh, well, she's doing it without me, you know. And the last 2 years he's in a relationship, you know, so, and he's in a complicated relationship. So he's going through his own journey again, you know. So I think in that relationship, he also never really saw and felt that his presence and his finances and just his energy is needed for his kids.
So how were you able to make it, you know, for the 4 years, you know, with 3 children?
Through prayer. I always pray for him.
Yeah. What about you financially? How are you able to keep a roof over your head?
Like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell me about your prayer. Tell me your style of prayer and your style of meditation.
So I pray sometimes just in the mornings and the evenings. Not sometimes, actually. I pray every day. And then when I go to the plant medicines or in a sweat lodge, then there's always a fire. So we say, like, we pray to the fire because the fire takes all your sorrow and it heals your prayer. So anything you want to manifest, the fire is the strongest element to manifest something and to pray. So every time I go to a prayer circle, to plant medicine or anything where we have a fire, I pray to the fire.
So how did you get involved with that method of prayer?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I left my marriage, I was introduced to plant medicines, ayahuasca, and like different other modalities. So, yeah, I learned about it. I had my first ayahuasca ceremony and I really understood a lot of things that have happened to me, why they have happened, and what the purpose was of that. Because everything has a purpose. Nothing is by coincidence. Even if it's painful, it's something that you had to learn, you know. So in my first night of ayahuasca, I had a huge insight about, you know, my marriage and the children and everything, you know. So ever since I go more into the prayer and the plant medicines and all that, and you learn it there. Everybody there prays, and then over time you learn how to pray. Mm-hmm.
So tell me the benefits of the plant medicines, like how have that impacted your life?
The plant medicine shows you. It shows you your shadow side. It also shows you good things, you know, but it also shows you your shadows, your deepest bullshit, you know, and you look at it and you have to work through it in that night or day whenever you take the medicine. And you learn how to see the purpose of it, and you also learn how to embrace it, and you learn the medicine also shows you how to love it, You know, how can you embrace your path and love the path for what it is, you know, or love people, or it shows you how you can see somebody from the heart, you know, like if I look at my ex-husband, you know, I truly love him. Like there's a heart connection, you know. There's not, you did this, and you did this. It's not there anymore. It's beyond that, you know. So plant medicines help you to see beyond the physical, the human experience.
How has the plant medicine helped you physically?
Oh, wow. Okay, so in my first 3 ceremonies, because my womb was very sick, because when I was in my marriage, there was a lot of cheating and there was a lot of other women involved and just abuse overall, you know, it made my womb very, very sick. So the first 3 plant medicine ceremonies were all about healing my womb and how can I understand what's going on in my womb and how can I heal it, you know, how, because I know I created it. I created it. So if I create it, I know I can uncreate it. I can undo it, you know. So yeah, definitely the plant medicine has taught me how to trust my own body and how to trust my own judgment, and has me help understand how I can heal it and reverse it again.
So through plant medicine, you think every physical issue that we're going through is reversible?
I don't think it's only through plant medicine. I think it's through any conscious healing modality. Like, I think anybody that understands that you created on your own, when you really internalize that and understand that, you can reverse it. It doesn't matter if it's through plant medicine, through voodoo, through theta healing, through meditation, whatever it is. It's just the understanding of that you are in charge of your own body, and you can talk to your cells and you can shed light on these cells and reverse your belief about a disease.
So do you think people who are suffering with chronic diseases can benefit from that?
Absolutely.
In what way?
I mean, a chronic disease is something that you have done for many, many years. It's something that you have repetitively told yourself. So then there's chronic disease that you create on your own, and then there's chronic disease when you say it's in my family. So when you say it's in my family, it's because you've been taught from the beginning that it runs in your family, so you believe it now, right? But you can undo that belief. You can go into your theta wave, you know, into your subconscious mind, and you can undo that belief. So any chronic disease can be healed through undoing what you're believing so far. And people have experienced these things in families, even in the church. People go to church and they healed in church, right? Or they go to a Joe Dispenza retreat. You know, it's like, wow, I healed overnight. We have these miracles and say, I healed overnight. It's not that you healed overnight. It's just you had a shift in your mind overnight that you understood that you're in charge of it. And that's it. And you healed.
Tell me what you're doing to help others to heal themselves, and how is your plant medicine helping?
Well, in my own work, I don't do so much with plant medicine. Plant medicine is more where I go and I do something for myself. But I do tantra retreats where I help females, women, and couples to like heal their sexuality and their mindset for each other and grow more love. And I help a lot of women as well, like with their womb journeys, womb issues, and also abusive relationship, or just making better decisions for themselves. So overall, I would say woman empowerment.
So how do you help a couple with their sexuality?
Well, there's many different reasons. You know, some couples just have a low sex drive, you know, and it's just dead. And some couples really want to be more fulfilled and want to be more honest and more loving and want to be more present in their central life, in their intimate life. So I help them to create different ideas and different modalities, maybe not so much talking, because a lot of times in relationships we talk a lot, you know, and we kill things with words. So in my retreat, it's more about, it's less talking and more feeling and seeing, eye gazing, and doing these modalities to really help to see the other for who they truly are, and not so much go into what they have said yesterday or a year ago, you know. And I also teach them orgasmic breath, like breath work overall, how to breathe right, you know, and that helps them in their intimate life as well.
Organic breath? Tell me.
Orgasmic breath.
Orgasmic breath. I'm sorry. So tell me about orgasmic breath. I'm sorry.
Well, the orgasmic breath, I mean, breathing is orgasmic, right? When you have an orgasm, you breathe like through things. So when you learn how to breathe correctly through your body and recycle that, you can do a lot more than just feel an orgasm. You can manifest with these things, and you can prolong your feeling of orgasm, and you can do other things with it. It's very beautiful. So I teach them in my retreats how to do that.
Do you think women have a problem with orgasms? More so, well, do you think women have a problem with orgasms where they actually need to learn how to have an orgasm versus with a man? I think most men, like, it's fairly simple with men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do believe women have not necessarily a problem with orgasms overall. Some do, very few ones, but I think the problem is to reach an orgasm during sex. And that has to do with knowing your body and communicating better. And that most women don't do. So in my retreats, I also encourage them and empower them to speak up more and to get to know their body better. Because that's the first thing. You have to get to know your body better in order to actually voice what you want.
What is the most common problem you see with women who come to your retreats?
Abuse and not feeling seen.
More physical or emotional? What sort of abuse are we talking about?
I would say more emotional abuse or like trauma from the past, and then just not feeling fully empowered as a woman and feeling not empowered as a female, not feeling central and feminine in their body.
So tell me some of the people who've been instrumental along your journey.
Well, my ex-husband definitely has been a very impactful person in my journey. And then I have met beautiful medicine women that have affected my journey a lot and have helped me to heal a lot of things, especially in my womb. Have met very interesting shamans and taitas that have the plant medicines, you know, and have an incredible life. I've met people that don't eat and drink, that their mind is so strong that they biohack their body so much that they can just like live without food and water. And I have met just along the way like a lot of interesting people that have healed their bodies as well. They healed brain cancer or cancer all over their body, breast cancer, on their own, you know, with foods, with mindset, and with just energy modalities.
So what advice would you give to a woman who is going through some mental and physical challenges right now that could help them change their lives immediately?
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be immediately because we have to unlearn sometimes. It takes a while. But my first number one advice would be to focus on yourself. And stop focusing on others or thinking others are better, have more than you. You know, it's because especially when we start our healing journey, we think other healers or other people are more than you or have more than you. And you always feel like incomplete. So my advice is to go internal, go inside, and trust that you can do it and trust your own powers. And you have the same superpowers as everybody else. And it's really important to know so you don't think that you lack something.
So how does someone get involved in one of your retreats? How do they get a hold of you?
You can find me through Instagram or Facebook, on my website, nataliehenrich.com, and they can just reach out to me.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.